this is the second part of our Chapter 3 review packet. So we're going to start on the second page here. And number 11 says the expression 9n plus 1 represents the perimeter in meters. So that's really important there to know that it's in meters. So we will have to label at the end of the triangle. Write an expression in simplest form that represents the measure of the third side. Now, simplest form here. So make sure we simplify our expression if necessary. So we know that the whole perimeter is 9n plus 1, but right now we don't have 9n plus 1. So we want to find out the expression in simplest form of these two sides first. So I'm going to write out 3n plus 2 plus 2n minus 1. So here, again, like I always do, I'm going to divide all of my terms apart, and then I'm going to identify my like terms and combine those there. So in terms of n, I have 3n plus a positive 2n, so I have 5n. And then I have a positive 2 and a negative 1, so that's a positive 1. So right now, 5n plus 1 is what I have on my two sides of my triangle combined. So I need to find this third side here. And that third side, whatever it is, needs to, when added to this expression that I have, equal 9n plus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I know I need, this 9n plus 1, and I'm going to subtract what I have, which is 5n plus 1, to find out the missing side length. Again, now here I'm going to have to distribute that negative 1. So I have 9n plus 1 minus 5n minus 1. Now here, again, I'm going to do that step where I identify my like terms. I have a 9n and a negative 5n, a positive 1 and a negative 1. So if I have a positive 9n and I take away 5n, I am left with 4n. And then I have a positive 1 and a negative 1, so those cancel out. So my final answer here should be 4n meters. That is the missing side length for this third side of the triangle. So when we add all those side lengths together, we get 9n plus 1. So it should be 4n meters there. Number 12, 13, and 14, they're solving equations. These are all one-step equations. And it says to check our solution, which means we need a check step. That's very important here. So in the very beginning, we have, for number 12, y plus 14.6 equals negative 31.75. So I'm going to draw those railroad tracks to separate the left and right side of my equation. I'm doing addition here, so I want to use subtraction to undo that addition. So I'm going to subtract 14.6, subtract 14.6. On the left side, those cancel out, and I'm left with y, bring down the equal sign. Negative 31.75 minus 14.6 is a negative 46.35. Now to make sure we are correct, we're going to do our check step to the side here. Remember, that starts off with writing the original problem, so y plus 14.6 equals negative 31.75. Then I rewrite this problem with what I found my y to equal, negative 46.35 plus 14.6 equals negative 31.75. So we have to make sure that is correct. So I have 46.35, and I'm going to subtract 14.60 to find the difference here, since it's going to be negative. 5 minus 0 is 5. I have to borrow here. 7. 5 minus 4 is 1. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So that is correct. We have negative 31.75 equaling negative 31.75. So we know we've gotten that answer correct here. Number 13 has x over 6.2 equals negative 2.1. So again, I'm going to draw those two parallel lines. Now on the left side here, I am doing division. That fraction bar means division. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 6.2 in order to undo the division. So those cancel out on the left side. I'm left with x equals, and then negative 2.1 times 6.2 will be a negative number since we're multiplying a negative by a positive. And we should get 13 16.02. Again, we're going to do our check step. So x over 6.2 equals negative 2.1. We're going to rewrite this with what we found our variable to be, negative 13.02 divided by 6.2 equals negative 2.1. And we are correct here. If we do our division to the side, negative 13.02 divided by 6.2. 6.2 is our divisor. Remember, our divisor always has to be a whole number. So we end up getting negative 2.1 equaling negative 2.1. Lastly, we have number 14 is negative 18v equaling negative 414. I'm going to draw my two parallel lines. Here we have negative 18v. When a number is connected to our variable here, that is multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we have to use division. So we're going to divide by the number that's connected to our variable, which is negative 18. So again, we're going to divide both sides by negative 18. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. We're left with v equals negative 414 divided by negative 18 will be a positive number. So we'd have 18 as our divisor, 414 as our dividend. And we should end up with 2 times 18 will be 36. 5 left over, bring down the 4. And 18 can go into 54 3 times. So we have our answer of v equals 23. Now to make sure that's correct, we will again use our check step. So negative 18v equals negative 414. Negative 18, and then we said our v should be 23, equaling negative 414. If we did negative 18 times a positive 23, we would get a negative number, and here it would actually equal negative 414. So we did all of these problems correctly. Negative 414 equals negative 414. So we're right there. Now, number 15 and 16 asks us to find the value or values of x. So number 15, we have 5x minus 8x equals 15. Now if we look on the left side of our equal sign here, we actually have two terms, a 5x and a negative 8x, but they're like terms. So we can combine those together first before we try and do anything. So a positive 5x minus 8x, we're left with a negative 3x on the left side of our equal sign. That equals 15. So I'm going to go back and make my railroad tracks now. It's going to be a little bit easier for us to do. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 3, where those cancel out, and we are left with x equals negative 5. Now this part does not tell us to do our check step, so it is not required, but it's always a very good step to use to make sure we're doing these problems right. It could be very easy for us to make a simple mistake, so a quick check here would be great. Number 16, we have 3, and then in parentheses x plus 1 equals negative 24. So before we can do anything here, we're actually going to distribute our 3 to both pieces inside of our set of parentheses. So we have 3x plus 3 equals negative 24. So now this is going to be a two-step equation. We have to first get rid of what's not connected to our variable, which is this positive 3, so we're going to subtract 3. Subtract 3. We're left with 3x on the left side equals negative 27 on the right side. Now we need to get x all by itself, so we're going to divide by 3. So we also divide by 3 on the right side. Those 3's cancel out on the left. And we're left with x equals negative 27 divided by a positive 3 will be a negative number. And 3 can go into 27 9 times. So x equals negative 9. 17 and 18 have a separate set of directions. It says write the word sentence as an equation, then solve. So there's two different pieces here. We first have to rewrite this sentence as an equation, and then we have to solve it. So it says the sum, so we know that's going to be addition, of a number a, so that's one variable, and negative 12, which is negative 12, right there, is 6. Now, I always like to put the 2 lines around my is because that is actually my equal sign. Remember, is in math means equals. So the sum of the letter or the number a, the a plus a negative 12 is or equals 6. So here we have a plus negative 12 equals 6. I'm going to do railroad tracks here. And we're adding a negative 12. So it's just like subtracting 12. So to get rid of this negative 12, we're actually going to add 12 here. So we're left with a equals 18. So we box that answer there. You could have used this problem and rewrote it as a minus 12 equals 6. If you like to think about it like that. Either way would be correct there. Make sure, since we have this addition sign, if you subtracted 12 from the left here, you would actually have a plus negative 24 equals 18. So we're not actually getting a by itself. We need to isolate that variable. Remember, get that variable all by itself. Number 18, last problem on this page. So the difference of 2.1, so difference, we know that's going to be subtraction, of 2.1 and twice a number p, so 2p or 2 times p, is, we'll sign there, negative 4.7. So if we rewrite this, it's going to say 2.1 minus 2p equals negative 4.7. Now here we have our variable second, which is fine. We still have this positive 2.1 on the left side. So we want to make sure we get rid of that. So we're going to subtract 2.1 from both sides first. And we're left with negative 2p equals negative 6.8. So we have 2 negatives here, so we can combine those together. So now we're left with negative 2p on the left side of the equal sign and negative 6.8 on the right. We need to get our p by itself, so we're going to divide the left side and the right side by negative 2. Our negative 2's cancel out on the left side. I'm going to bring this up over here. So negative 6.8 divided by negative 2 will be a positive 3.4. So we should have p equals 3.4 there. This is the second video that goes with the second page of our review. Go ahead to the third and last part in order to grade the 3 word problems on our review.